My stepmother tried to steal everything my father left me, so I gave her what she deserved. When my father passed away, I thought the grief would break me. But it wasn't the grief that shattered me. It was what came after. A betrayal so calculated, it nearly cost me everything. This is how I turned the tables on the woman who tried to erase me from my own family. I'm Elena, 26. My dad raised me after my mom died when I was 10. He was my rock. 5 years later, he met Julia. She wasn't outright evil, just fake. Always sweetheart this and darling that, but her eyes told the truth. She didn't like me. And the feeling was mutual. Dad loved her, though, so I tolerated her. I moved out at 19 to start fresh and kept my visits short. But I loved my dad, so I stayed in touch. When he passed suddenly last year, it crushed me. At the funeral, Julia acted like the grieving widow from a soap opera, crying louder than anyone, throwing herself at the casket. It felt theatrical. Off. A few days later, my dad's lawyer called. He had a handwritten letter from my father meant only for me. I opened it at home. It read, "Elena, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm so proud of you. I changed my will last year. I left you the lake house, the car, and most of my savings. Julia doesn't know I wanted to protect you. Don't let her guilt you. You earned this. I love you, kiddo." I wept. And I prepared. At the will reading, Julia looked smug. She even brought her son Damien, my stepbrother, who always looked at me like I was in his way. But as the lawyer read, her face collapsed. Everything was mine. The house, the savings, the lake house, even Dad's car. Julia lost her color. Damien fumed. "There must be a mistake," Julia spat. "This isn't the will he showed me." The lawyer didn't flinch. "That one was voided. This is the latest version. Fully legal, witnessed, dated 6 months ago." Julia stormed out. That night, she showed up at my door. "Elena, sweetheart," she began, all sugar. "This doesn't feel right. I was there for your father every single day. You barely visited." I stood firm. Dad made his choice. He explained it in the letter. Then she dropped the mask. "You selfish brat. He promised he'd take care of me." He did, with love. That was enough. She stormed off, but it wasn't over. A week later, I got strange bank calls. Someone tried to access the estate accounts. I traced it. Damien, pretending to be me. I filed reports. They were blacklisted from touching anything. Then I discovered Julia had secretly sold Dad's belongings online, items that were now legally mine. I pressed charges and demanded return or legal action. She returned them. Furious. That should have been the end. But the universe had one more surprise. I got a message from a woman named Lisa. She was Julia's former friend, and she had receipts. Literally, screenshots, emails, voice memos. Julia had been scheming since Dad got sick. She encouraged him not to see a lawyer too often, tried to get him to sign paperwork while medicated. But Dad had outsmarted her, quietly, legally. Lisa hated what Julia had become and wanted to help me. With her help, I found more evidence. Julia tried to move money discreetly before Dad even passed. I confronted Julia one last time, told her I knew everything, that I had proof, and if she ever contacted me again, I'd bury her in court. She finally backed off. I sold the house and gave it to a young couple, people who needed it. I kept the lake house. There's a garden there now with a plaque that says, "For Dad, you always knew." Julia moved in with some distant cousin. Damien vanished. I haven't heard from them since. I didn't need revenge. I had justice and peace. And I think Dad would have been proud. If you made it this far, thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insane true stories like this one. They only get crazier from here.